One. What's going on, guys? It's the Bigs Podcast, episode number 34. And today we're going to talk about week 9 and the week that was. Kicking it off tonight in Hillsdale, New Jersey. Middle school teacher Mr. Haber, and Mr. Haber had himself an escape room today. Mike, how was that?
It was great, Joe. I had a great time putting it together. The kids did an amazing job. I'm super proud of them. It'll probably be a couple years till I do it again because I think I aged like 10 years today. It was a lot of fun, but I was on my feet up in a sauna for 7 hours. So
that does not sound like a good time, man. Did the kids have fun?
The kids had fun. That's what matters.
Yeah, that's what matters. You know who else had fun this week? Our reigning, defending, undisputed world heavyweight Bigs champion 3 times over, and our esteemed commissioner, Mr. Benjamin Nissman. How are you doing this evening, sir?
Doing great, Joe. Thank you, as always, for that fantastic introduction. Hey, Mike, it would probably take me a few years to be able to create an escape room, so I give you a ton of credit to be able to conjure that up, and I can only imagine the strategist that you are, like what you were able to muster up. So nice job there. Way to bring that to the kids. And as always, you're brilliant. So I have no doubt it was a really awesome experience. Joe,
thank you.
You're very welcome. Joe, it was a hell of a week. It was a crazy week in baseball in general. So take us through it. Let us know what happened, man. Lead it off for us, buddy.
Let's get going, boys, and we're going to start this thing off with our first place team extending his lead and putting an absolute whooping on Brian Lebo this week, 15-4. On Sunday, doubles were tied. You see, Lebo actually got that one. Losses were tied, and Lebo gave him that one. Strikeouts were tied, and Lebo got that one. Close categories this week. Levy wins by the triple, 3 home runs, a win, and a loss. Brian wins by the double and 5 RBIs. They tied in steals and errors, which 5 errors apiece. That's fun. For Chris on his bench, Benjamin, it is 11 for 40.
Oh, thank God. It's a little better than a quarter, so I'll say 253.
275.
Oh, okay. It goes up that high.
Yep. With 3 runs, 3 doubles that would have flipped the category, 3 homers, 7 RBIs. Would have had to be perfect to make that happen. 3 walks, 8 strikeouts, and an error, and the error would have lost him the category. I guess the only thing here is, could he have gotten a double in to tie? And the answer is yeah. On Sunday, we're looking at this double right here from Mike Yastrzemski, and Acuna, not probably going to put him out. You can't take Canha out, rather. And you're certainly not taking Judge or Brantley out either. So that's pretty difficult and rough to see.
Yeah. Nothing you can do about that.
No. Let's take a look at the 10th. Maybe we have something different here. We've got another double on the bench here, and again, the outfield is just way too crowded here. He's got way too many pieces, and he's taking this opportunity to give back a couple of categories. That being said, 15-5, I think we're nitpicking. Move on to his moves this week. We'll start with dropping Adam Ottavino, picking up Caleb Killian, who was a minor leaguer. He also added Connor Pilkington. 5 2/3, a no decision, a home run, 4 walks, 2 strikeouts, a 6.35 and a 1.41 in a home against Oakland. He dropped Sean Murphy to get that guy. He drops Caleb Killian for Matt Moore, 2 innings, a win, 5 strikeouts, nothing earned in a relief appearance, and also drops Pilkington. He drops Matt Moore for Anthony DeSclafani, who's on the IL, 4 moves, 3 starters, and a reliever. Key players this week, we shall start with that guy who is probably the front runner to become MVP in the American League thus far. Aaron Judge, 360 average, 452 on base, 8 runs, a double, 3 homers, 6 RBIs, 5 walks, and 6 strikeouts. The least valuable hitter is, I can't believe I'm saying this, but Paul Goldschmidt, 125 with a 263 on base, 2 runs, a double, 3 walked, and 3 strikeouts. The Cy Young is going to be Shane McClanahan, 8 innings, a win, a walk, 9 strikeouts, nothing earned, an 0.38 whip. Guys, this dude leads the league in strikeouts. He has 98 of them through 72 innings. That is filthy.
Yeah.
The Cy Yuck, I guess we got to go with Dakota Hudson, maybe Hector Neris, maybe Connor Pilkington. He pitched really well. Like, we got a 1.67 ERA here. Like, we're not going to find insanity.
Yeah.
For Lebo on his bench, Benjamin, it's going to be 4 for 17.
All right. Two 235.
He nailed it right on the head.
Wow.
He got it. 235.
Nice.
2 runs.
I'm sorry it took me that long to get there, guys.
That's okay. You nailed it.
That was
2
impressive.
runs, a double, 3 RBIs, 3 walks, and 3 strikeouts. None of it plays. His moves this week: he drops Brent Suter for John King, former neighbor of Ben Nissman. An inning, a strikeout, and a relief appearance. He also drops. Okay, I know I told you guys about this guy. He's the Angels reliever who has this name that would lend itself to becoming a very good name to be played as the name of a team.
Yeah.
Except it's spelled as if you would say it as Wantz, W-A-N-T-Z. He pronounces it Wantz. It's Andrew Wantz. And how annoying is that?
Awful.
It's awful. It's the worst. He also dropped Steven Wilson. He dropped John King to pick up Brent Suter. 2 innings, 2 strikeouts, a 450, a 1 whip, and a relief appearance. Also added Caleb Thielbar, an inning, a strikeout, nothing earned, a 1 whip, and a relief appearance. He drops Thielbar and Suter for Art Warren and Cole Sulcer. They did not appear. He drops Lane Thomas for Jerry's Familia, an inning, a strikeout, a 1 whip, and a relief appearance. He drops Familia for Jonathan Heasley. 7 innings, a win, 7 strikeouts, nothing earned, an 0-1-4 whip against Baltimore. Ben, what team does Jonathan Heasley play for?
Again, I'll go with the Pawtucket Patriots.
Perhaps in a former life, but currently the Kansas City Royals. He used 7 moves, a starter, 6 relievers, and still lost relief appearances. The key players this week. We're going to talk about Yordan Alvarez, 435 with a 481 on base, 3 runs, 2 doubles, a homer, 7 RBIs, 3 walks, and 4 strikeouts. The least valuable hitter. Well, hello, Eric Hosmer. Welcome back to Earth. This is the planet on which you reside. Mike Haber is justified, 111 with a 100 on base percentage, 1 RBI, and 2 strikeouts. The Cy Young is that aforementioned Heasley, although shout out to Carlos Rodon, 10 innings, a win, 13 strikeouts, and a 180 and a 1. The Cy Yuck is going to be Chris Stratton. Look at this disgusting line. An inning and 2/3, a homer, a walk, a strikeout, a 32.40 ERA, a 3.60 whip, and 2 relief appearances. Guys, these teams are kind of headed in opposite directions if we're honest with ourselves here. Ben, how do you feel about seeing Brian Lebo take this kind of a dump truck in at this juncture in the season?
You know, everyone's bound to have that. But if you remember, in week 8, he won 12-6. So he's not having a bad season. You know, I feel like as long as you're right around 500, and I consider 8 under right around 500, you're in pretty good shape. You could take your big loss here, and you could take it to the guy that's number 1 anyway. You know, if you could beat the guys that are kind of closer in your area, you're in better shape. So I'm not too worried about Brian, especially because, as you mentioned, Joe, he was able to mitigate it at least a little bit. This could have been worse. He had 2 categories going into Sunday, too.
Yeah, it was 14-2 going into Sunday, 15-4 is the final. He does at least put a dent into that beating.
There's a difference. You doubled your own score there. At a certain point, I thought it was something like 16-2. It was
16-3 on Wednesday.
Okay, 16-3. You know, if you're able to flip 1 more, you take it. You know, and I just think Brian is too good of a manager to let something like this make or break you. You know, and I really feel like he'll be right back on track, and it won't take him that long. He's good enough, and I think he's got a good enough roster he's just he walked into a really, really hot team right now. And to me, I think it's really more about Chris Levy winning and continuing his streak than it is about Brian Lebo losing this matchup as badly as he did.
This is an incredible streak Chris Levy's off to at this point. He's won 7 out of 9 to start the season. His losses are 11-8 and 10-7 to Bobby Russo and Josh Haber. I always want to say Josh Hader because, closer.
He's a baseball player.
Mike, Chris Levy faces off with whom this week? He gets Mike Sherman of all teams right now.
Yeah, it's a good time to pat his lead, I think.
Mm-hmm. I definitely agree with that.
Yeah,
it's gonna be Mike Sherman, and then we've got you coming up on his schedule. Are you? I'm not asking you to look ahead from the matchup you're currently in, but I'm going to ask you to look ahead from the matchup you're currently in and tell me if you're going to be able to keep pace with this team.
Well, my next 2 weeks right now are with the third place team and the first place team. So this is a big 2 weeks for me playing Jimmy right now and Chris Levy next week. So I got my work cut out for me. That's for sure. I'm not saying I'm dreading it. I'm actually looking forward to it because it's really important. It's going to dictate the rest of my season.
Yeah.
Yeah. What I'll say is if you have your work cut out for you, then so do they. I think that they're going to have to work their ass off to keep up with you. A much more experienced and successful manager through the time that they've been in the league. Mm-hmm. So they know what they're up against. They know they're going to have to work hard. Yeah. And this, again, this was as unfortunately for Brian, a pretty close matchup. I mean, Brian had some decent numbers here, 7-1. And you're telling me that he got that loss on Sunday. So he's 7-0 going into it, and Chris is 8-0. That's crazy. Yeah. That's and a 4.13. You say it's an okay number 3 starter kind of ERA, but it's still beating a lot of ERAs in our league on most weeks, or at least competing with it to the point where maybe you can manage around it on Sunday. But Chris Levy over 59 innings, a 1.67 ERA, 0.79 WHIP, stupid. A 3.03 batting average and a 4.15 on base, silly.
He completed what I wanted to, guys. He had more walks than strikeouts this week.
Wow.
He had 34 walks and 33 strikeouts. Chris, congratulations, man. That guy, I felt like that was not something we would ever see in this league.
Yeah.
And to do it over a 7-day period and over 200 at bats.
Yeah.
It's well done. It's absolutely well done.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and also it's not like he doesn't have strikeout guys on his team. Like Judge still does strike out a bunch. Mm-hmm. I've seen Acuna, also. So very impressive. Impressive week. 47 touching the plate. I mean, that's a ton of runs. That the guy is a really, really dangerous opponent right now. So I'm glad that I don't have to play him for a few weeks.
Yeah, me too. Let's go ahead and move on to the next matchup here, and we're going to talk about the second place team after this. Oh no, the third place team after this week, despite getting himself a pretty decent win over a competitor in the top 6 currently. Jimmy Dunlap taking down a 12-8 win over Josh Haber. On Sunday, Jimmy had a 1-run lead, and Josh flipped that category. Josh, however, had a 2 strikeout lead, and Jimmy flipped that. And Josh had a 50-point tick lead on the ERA, and he loses that by 2 ticks. Close categories for Jimmy. He wins by the triple. He wins by the steal. He wins by 5 walks. He wins by a save. Oh, another walk over here, and that 2 ticks on the ERA.
Yeah.
For Josh, he wins by the run. He wins by 4 strikeouts. He wins by a win, 3 ticks on the whip, and 1 relief appearance. They tied in strikeouts by a pitcher. For Jimmy on his bench, Ben, it is 12 for 35.
Thank God, Jimmy. Uh, 346.
343. He is hot tonight, guys.
Nice.
He is hot
Wow.
tonight. 8 runs, 3 doubles, 3 homers, 5 RBIs, 3 walks, 7 strikeouts. Runs would have flipped the category, but nothing else plays. It's still a rough week, though. Yeah, I agree with Mike's notes here. The runs is
Yeah.
huge, though. The 8 runs on the bench and 4 of them coming on Sunday definitely hurt.
Mm-hmm. And then my other question is, you said that strikeouts flipped in Jimmy's favor.
Yes.
You're referring to the batting strikeouts?
No, pitching strikeouts.
So did someone who had the lead? Okay, because then he didn't flip it. He tied it. He found a way to tie it.
Correct.
Okay. That was my question.
Okay.
Sorry.
Not a problem. The runs on Sunday is what we're trying to look at here. We've got 2 from Hunter Dozier, who went 4 for 5 with a double, a homer, 2 RBIs. You find a way to get that dude into the lineup. Maybe it's Profar. Maybe you somehow juggle the lineup and get somebody else out. I don't know. But the fact of the matter is, that was a great game. And that, Soler, and Teoscar Hernandez, all 3 of them are riding the pine. All 3 of them scored runs.
Yep.
Tough. That was tough, though. Profar has been like a must play, I feel like, lately.
Yeah, he's been as close to it as you can get. Yeah.
I just don't know how you're playing Harrison Bader over Soler or Teoscar Hernandez.
He's also been high, and I feel like because Jimmy has had so much success in the last week or two with Harrison Bader, when you look at your week and you're saying, I'm succeeding because of this guy, there's a connection to kind of stick to it until it burns you. So I get it.
Okay. He's 0 for his last 11 and not playing tonight for what that's worth. Let's move on to his moves here. He dropped Steve Cishek for, all right, how are we going to pronounce this one? Joel Kunel? Is that what we're going to go with? I think that's what we're going to go with.
What are you talking about?
It's a pitcher. I don't know.
On the Reds.
Matt Bush gets dropped for Colin Holderman. Kunel gets dropped for Brian Shaw. Mike Soroka gets dropped for Carl Edwards Jr. Colin Holderman gets dropped for Stephen Okert. Shaw gets dropped for Dane Dunning. Dane Dunning gets dropped for Felix Bautista. Stephen Okert gets dropped for Matt Swarmer. More on that guy in a minute. Felix Bautista gets dropped for Nabil Krismat. Krismat dropped for Espino. Swarmer dropped for Kyle Nelson. 11 ads, 9 relievers, 2 starters, and no hitters. And he still lost relief appearance.
Wow.
Yep. For Josh on his bench this week, Benjamin, 4 for 25.
You do that. Damn. It's good. 173.
160. It's 160 with a run, an RBI, 2 walks, and 2 strikeouts, not even plays. His moves this week: he dropped Nick Senzel for Ezekiel Duran, drops Luis Sessa for Scott Efros, drops Art Warren, bye-bye Cincinnati bullpen, for the best ad that we've seen in the bigs in many, many years. He added Jason Alexander to his team. We loved it. We definitely popped. He
Jesse,
Joe,
I was gonna ask you. You know how you always ask me what team a guy plays for?
Sure.
What does Alexander play on Seinfeld?
Is that
Moving
on. He drops Jason Alexander for Luis Garcia, not the pitcher in San Diego, nor the pitcher in Houston, but the infielder in Washington. He drops Ezekiel Duran for Lane Thomas. Drops Jose Urquidy for Alex Faedo, Adam Frazier for AJ Puck, and Jacob Junis for Trent Thornton. 8 ads, 3 hitters, 3 relievers, and 2 starters. Key players this week. We'll start with Jimmy. He won the week, and his MVP, hey, wake up and smell the roses. It's only June. Marcus Semien, welcome back. 385 with a 448, 5 runs, a double, 3 homers, 5 RBIs, 2 steals, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts, and an error. He's hitting 217 now. All right.
Over the Mendoza line. It was only a matter of time.
Yeah. His least valuable hitter this week is the aforementioned Harrison Bader, 158 with a 238 on base, 1 RBI, 2 walks, and 5 strikeouts. The Cy Young is going to go to Paul Blackburn, the swashbuckling pirate, I guess. 8 innings, a walk, 3 strikeouts, nothing earned, an 0.63 whip. The Cy Young, yep, I told you we'd talk about this guy later. Here he is. Matt Swarmer, he goes 5 innings and takes the loss, 4 strikeouts, a 10.80 ERA, and a 140 whip. Ben, is that a terrible start?
Yeah, it is, but I'm surprised you didn't go to Lauer also with a pretty awful ERA. Finally, he's come back to earth potentially.
Yeah, the reason I go with Swarmer is because he also gave up 6 solo home runs.
Wow, okay. Yeah.
That's gross. That is awful. It's very bad. It's very bad. But Jimmy survives that and wins this week 12-8. So, guys, Jimmy's now sitting in third. I think he's pretty safe right now, don't you think, Mike Haber?
For sure. Oh, so Joe, did you want to do? I'm sorry, Mike. Did you want to do Josh's?
Yes, I would love to do Josh.
I thought you were kind of getting ahead, so I didn't want to.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
This and that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. All right, Josh's key players. We're going to start with Ahmed Rosario, 400 average and on base, 5 runs, 2 doubles, 2 RBIs, 2 steals, 3 strikeouts, and an error. The least valuable hitter is Trey Mancini, 167 and a 348 on base, which is nice. 2 runs, a homer, 2 RBIs, 4 walks, and 7 strikeouts. I guess when, he did win strikeouts, so it's not all that terrible. I just look at Lane Thomas with a 143, and I'm like, why is that the guy?
I'm surprised he's on the team,
Yeah. The Cy Young this week, Camilo Duvall, 2 2/3, 2 wins, a walk, 4 strikeouts, nothing earned, an 0.38 whip, and 3 relief appearances. Very nice. The Cy Young Mackenzie Gore, 2 1/3, a loss, 4 walks, 3 strikeouts, 23-14, and a 386. Yikes. Bad week, but I mean, this kid's been amazing.
Yeah.
All right, now we can jump into this. Yeah. Now we can jump into this. So it does look like these teams are, again, sort of in the hunt. They seem to be solidified in the top 6 at this point, and they're pretty safe from the chase back. If one of them gets knocked out, which one would you see at this present moment, Mike Haber?
I think Jimmy's team is a little more well-rounded as of this moment. So I would say I'd have to go with Josh. Started off really strong, but he's dropping. He's been kind of trending on a very slow downhill. But he did a good job because I know he was kind of taking a beating at the beginning of this week. So to take a 12-8 loss, I think he's actually okay with it. And he recovered well later in the week. So I give him credit for that. But at this point, if I had to pick one, I think Jimmy is kind of a staple in the playoffs at this point.
Yeah, we forget that Josh led this league for 3 consecutive weeks to start the season and has since kind of fallen off a little bit here. He's down into 5th at this point. Not that that's, anything to hang your hat about. You're still competing very well. You're 14 games over 500, 16 games over 500? Oh, yeah. Then I'll ask you the same question, though. These guys are pretty set in the top 6 at this moment. But what if one of them is going to fall out? Which team are you most worried about?
I'm more concerned about Josh between those two. I agree with Mike there. Just like Mike said, it's a very, very balanced team. And he has started to get a feel for which guys are going to do well and not so well on the days that he plays. I'm sure he misses out on the runs here. And I remember this matchup at some point. Wasn't it pretty lopsided? I feel like 15-5 at some point, right?
Yes. Yeah, it is a very well salvaged week for Josh.
Extremely. but that goes to show Jimmy, he had it in the bag the whole time. The only question was by how much.
Mhm.
And Josh, he was able to do what he's been doing this whole season, was figuring out to get W's in categories. I'm really impressed with how Josh was able to pull off relief appearances here against a manager like Jimmy. That's a big deal. And runs as well. 37 runs is a lot of runs. Josh was able to come back and get it done on Sunday. So I know the ERA thing is very, very frustrating, but look, it fell in his favor. So it cuts both ways. That's what's awesome about the bigs category sometimes, that, you can get one and miss out on the other, and things just kind of fall your way on Sunday. In this case, I think things fell Josh's way on Sunday. Jimmy's pumped about confetti, but Josh is satisfied with this loss. This is a win-win for both managers, getting out of this week and turning the page into next week. Good for both of them, actually, on this one.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to face somebody in the top 6 and you don't want to get your ass kicked and you end up getting something like this, I think you take it and you move on.
Yeah.
This is a hell of a lot better than the 12-5 whooping I just took from Ben. So these are, good. This is a much better scenario, and I would have been happy with this outcome versus that one.
Right.
Going forward, guys, I want to take a look at the schedules here for some of the guys in the competition for the playoffs at the very moment. So if we take a look at Gettysburg, JD, Jimmy Dunlap, he's got our co-host Mike Haber this way. Mike Haber is facing him this week, and then he gets Matt Losey and then Chris Levy. So, Mike, this is another opportunity. Are you concerned about Jimmy this week?
Yeah, I hope I'm concerned about Jimmy this week. I mean, that would mean I'm doing pretty well. No, I mean, he's got to win. The matchup against Levy is important, but he's got to take at least the week against me, or the week again. Who'd you say he's playing next week?
Matt.
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 He's got to either beat. He's got to beat one of us for sure.
Mhm.
But in Jimmy's mind, he's got to beat both of us before competing against Chris.
Yeah,
I think, but hopefully he doesn't.
He's alternated losses and wins for the last couple of weeks. Started off on a 4 out of 5 game losing streak, but over the last 4 weeks, 2-1-1 in his last 4. Be interesting to see what he's going to do here against some teams that he probably should win against. We will. Oh, for Josh's side, yeah, that's the other good question, is what does his schedule look like going forward? Why can't I find his team right now? I'm literally.
I got you. I could do it if you want.
Oh, there we go. All right. He's got Matt right now, and then me, Costas, and Ari. Ben, how do you feel about that 4-game schedule?
Wow, it requires a lot of management. That's what I'll say. He'll hopefully get himself a little bit of breathing room after this week against Matt, but then he's got a lot of work to do. But I think he's looking forward to it. And he's been up to the task this whole season. This will be the test. This next month or so will really be a major test on what direction he's going in. We're going to say it's exciting, though. And I've come to start to expect good things out of him. And the fact that he was able to really, really make this a tolerable loss says a lot to the character of that he's playing in right now. He is on another level as far as what I've seen, as far as his management. I've never seen him manage this well in my life.
He has been absolutely lights out now for 2 seasons consecutively, which, we love to see that. And I wish him the absolute best going forward. I want to see him in the playoffs again. If the playoffs were to start right now, we would be facing each other. So we shall see what happens. I'm looking forward to another season of the Habers making playoff runs. Let's move on to the next matchup here, gentlemen. Ben, it's time. It's time to talk about your matchup, my friend. Your matchup, a rematch of the 2021 finals, Ben Nissman versus Costas Paragas. And look at that. Look at that 14-4 victory for Ben. On Sunday, runs were tied. Ben got that one. Doubles were tied. Costas got that one. Home runs, Costas was up by 1, and you tied it, Ben. Stolen bases were tied, and you got that one. Walks, Costas was ahead by 1, and you got that one. Strikeouts, you guys were tied, and you got that one. And wins, you were ahead by 1, and Costas nipped you right there. Close categories, you won by 1 run, 2 RBIs, a steal, a walk, a strikeout, 4 2/3 innings pitched, 2 losses, 2 walks given up by a pitcher, and 7 strikeouts. Costas won by 2 doubles. And you guys tied in triples, homers, and wins. For your bench this week, Benjamin, 13 for 52.
Shit. I quit. I have no idea.
It's going to be funny when he hears it.
It's good, right?
It's okay. It's fine.
227. I don't know. I really don't know.
It's a perfect quarter. One for 4. 50.
Damn
it. 5 runs.
Idiot.
5 runs, 5 doubles, a homer, 6 RBIs, 6 walks, and 11 strikeouts. The homer for Blackman, who didn't start that game, so you can't fault you for benching that guy. 11 strikeouts on the bench made a huge difference. The doubles would have flipped the category, and I guess we're going to talk about the Carlos Santana 4 for 4.
Sure, Wednesday. You can talk about that on Wednesday, and you can talk about Rendon instead of JD Davis on Saturday. If you want me to win the category as well, that would have done it. But
yeah, it is just the honestly, Carlos Santana bench. It's disappointing that it happens. These things happen. Like we've all gone through it. You know, you've got 2 Hall of Famers and that guy, so it's hard to play all 3 of them. In fact, it's impossible.
Right.
The hits and walks would have made a difference on base percentage and average.
No,
I don't think so. I think
no, it wouldn't have.
That.
No, it wouldn't have made a difference. I'll tell you what. I would have also had to do things like a day that Jock Peterson wasn't starting, and then I started him, and he went 0 for 2 in the lineup. Like little things like that also would have needed to be in play. Like I would have needed to bench him and played Carlos. A lot needed to happen to win those categories. So
sure,
it's really the doubles, but
yeah, that's what hurts with the 4 for 4 benching is the double. But I mean, you won 14-4. You survived that. Your moves this week: you dropped Justin Steele for Danny Jansen. You dropped Patrick Corbin for Taylor Trammell. You dropped Danny Jansen for Jeff Hoffman. You dropped Jonathan with the obnoxious placement of the H. Diaz for Tanner Scott, who may be closing in Miami here going forward. Jason Shreve gets dropped for Adam Ottavino for Jarrell and the obnoxious H as well, Cotton. He drops Cotton for, he actually just flat out drops him. Drops Jeff Hoffman for Daniel Lynch. Drops Sir Anthony Dominguez for Patrick Corbin. Drops Jalen Beeks for Dean Kramer. Daniel Lynch for Cole Sands. Patrick Corbin for Cutter Crawford. And adds Randall Grichuk. All on Sunday morning, very early. 12 ads, 3 hitters, 5 starters, 4 relievers. For Costas on his bench, Benjamin. 13 for 43.
What was I again? 13 for what?
52.
Wow. So 283?
302. 5 runs, a homer, 4 RBIs, a steal, a walk, 7 strikeouts, and an error. We're just going to go ahead and fast forward to the one thing that I can see that this is just burning a hole in Mike Haber's soul here. He highlighted this and was like, what the hell is this? Why are we benching Cedric Mullins?
Which day?
That would be Saturday. He's in Kansas City. And instead, he played this catcher from Toronto who just got called up, and Jonah Heim from Texas, who did not much.
Mm-hmm.
You're benching Cedric Mullins in order to play 2 catchers?
And what Cedric Mullins did was get him a run, an RBI, a stolen base, a walk.
The walk
Like, it's
plays.
all of those categories that we talked about.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's every single
Stolen
one
base.
of them. A run, a steal, a walk. That's 3 categories.
Yeah.
In one play.
Yep.
I don't know. His moves this week, we'll start with dropping Tyler Wells for old friend, and apparently the bromance is back on. Nathaniel Lowe is back on Statistics team this year. He drops 1-800-GLEN Otto for Cole Calhoun. That's a whole lot of Texas Rangers going on right there. He drops Matt Reynolds for Trent Grisham. Drops Trent Grisham 2 days later for AJ Puck. Drops Cole Calhoun for Chad Kuhl. Drops Nathaniel Lowe for Willie Peralta. So, okay.
Going in directions of relief pitchers, seems like, basically, right?
Yep. Then Brian Bello gets dropped for Gabriel Moreno. That is the guy who was in the lineup instead of Cedric fucking Mullins. He drops Trevor Richards for Matt Reynolds. He drops Lou Trevino for 1-800-GLEN Otto again. He drops AJ Puck. So he just basically dropped the whole Oakland bullpen that day for Andre Palante. And I see a question mark here, Mike Haber. I was actually looking at this guy too. He was starting for St. Louis. And I mean, it's a St. Louis pitcher, dude. Like, they have black voodoo shit going on in St. Louis.
True.
So, like, I thought it was worth a shot too. He dropped.
Who is he starting against?
I don't remember off the top
Oh,
of my head, but it wasn't a terrible matchup.
Okay.
Willie Peralta gets dropped for Brendan Donovan. Chad Kuhl for Ryan Feltner. And Glenn Otto gets dropped. 12 ads, 6 hitters, 2 relievers, 4 starters. Key players this week. Benjamin, we're going to start with you, and it is that Hall of Famer. It is that Joey Votto. 333, 5 with a 467, 5 runs, 3 doubles, a homer, 5 RBIs, 6 walks, and 5 strikeouts. The least valuable hitter this week, can you name him?
It's either Crawford or Blackman. I'm not sure.
It's Gary Sanchez, actually.
Okay.
067 average, 125 on base with a run, a double, an RBI, a walk, and 4 strikeouts. It is interesting that he has one of each of some of those categories that we talked about earlier. Yeah, John Birdie just doubled.
Nice.
The Cy Young this week, Benjamin. Can you name him?
Ooh, well, it's certainly not Clayton Kershaw. How about one of my relievers? One of them must have been pretty darn good, right?
Yeah, Kenley Jansen was disgusting. 4 relief appearances, 4 innings, 4 saves, 5 strikeouts, and 0.25 whip, nothing earned. Beautiful. The Cy Yuck, who was the worst pitcher this week, Ben?
One of my streamers, maybe. Does that sound right?
Yep, it is whatever the hell a Cole Sands is.
Yesterday,
yeah. 4 2/3, a loss, a walk, 5 strikeouts, 964 to 129 against Tampa. Okay.
Thank you for your innings.
Yes. Yeah, that's all it was. For Costas, his MVP this week is Kyle Fuck Barmer, 391 with a 483 on base percentage, 2 runs, 2 doubles, 5 RBIs, a steal, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts, and an error. The least valuable hitter is going to be, look who's back to the dumpster, is Trevor Story. 167 with a 200, 3 runs, a double, an RBI, a steal, a walk, and 8 strikeouts. Shout out to Connor Joe, who also had 8 strikeouts this week, and Chris Taylor, who also had 8 strikeouts this week. The Cy Young this week is Cy Young candidate Kyle Wright. 14 innings, 2 wins, a homer, 2 walks, 14 strikeouts, a 3.21 and an 0.86. The Cy Yuck, Ben, you get to choose one of the following: Jose Quintana, Tyler Anderson, Lou Trevino, Chad Kuhl, or Trevor Richards. Which one would you like to give it to?
Whichever one had the least amount of innings.
It'll be Lou Trevino. It'll be an inning.
He was a reliever though, right?
Yeah.
Give me a starter that had the least amount of innings.
Jose Quintana. 8 1/3 over 2 starts with 2 losses, 3 homers, 2 walks, 9 strikeouts, 864 and a 180.
That's the guy. Yeah.
Yep. We've seen this done by Costas before, where he'll put up an impressive win and then take a trucking, and then put up an impressive win and then take a trucking, and it has always been for Costas when he gets hot and how bad he gets beat when he's cold. He last year went like 3 losses in a row, then 4 wins in a row, then 5 losses in a row, then 2. Like it was a weird season for him, and I'm seeing much of the same here this year. Mike Haber, you've been very critical about Costas's management here in the last few weeks. So I would like to hear if you think he's going to make a run at the right time in order to push toward the playoffs and perhaps knock out one of these top 6.
He's capable for sure. I wouldn't be shocked if he was there. I feel like I've been critical, but I've also like given him the shout outs that he deserves. I think that that he's done a great job like piecing together a team that I thought couldn't compete at all offensively at the beginning of the year. So he definitely proved me wrong in some of the previous weeks. Some of the managerial moves, like you traded away your top closer for Cedric Mullins, like that's got to be a guy you play every day, right? I mean, especially when you're that close in all of these offensive categories, I can't afford to bench Cedric Mullins against the Royals, regardless of, a rookie that's like a highly touted rookie like Gabriel Moreno. I'm not sure. So those are the little things that I question throughout the season. But at the end, he's always there somehow. So he proves that he's capable. He proves that he knows what he's doing, and I give him all the credit for it. But it really is the little moves to me that I feel like I am most critical about.
I tend to agree with those types of moves. You moved a very large piece to get Cedric Mullins, the guy that you fell in love with last year, and you're not playing him on a Saturday in a matchup against Ben Nissman. To me, that is just absolutely bonkers. Ben, you've got 5 minutes. I'll give you the floor, whatever you want.
Joe, Mike, I'm going to start by saying this is going to be one of the more memorable matchups I'll ever experience. And obviously it starts with the fact that this was the finals of last year. The fact that he and I played each other in week 1 and then the final week of the season last year was really cool. That I got 3 wins on him. This is the 4th time. There was a lot going into this one. And it started with Monday, how I had made moves after the bell the week prior and filled up the lineup. And he got Nate Lowe pretty early, which made a lot of sense because that's a guy that if you don't jump on early, someone's going to grab him. But he didn't wait too long on the rest of the ads. And then the rain came down and he lost a couple of moves right off the bat. And he was playing from behind. And I just thought about that and thought, how can I stay ahead of him in ads? And that was the goal, and playing out the starting pitchers, sure, seeing how I could somehow sneak away in innings pitched and strikeouts, maybe wins as well. And I saw an avenue to go there because the relief appearances, I kept on staying ahead. And then somehow, once I picked up this gentleman on Miami who started closing games and saving, I felt like I could win saves against a guy that should beat me in saves based on the way he drafted his team. Stolen bases. No, this is a guy that I submitted to losing that category going into the week. I kind of lucked into that one, and sure, we could talk about Cedric Mullins, but my God, the fact that I held on to this guy Trammell the entire week, knowing that I would need a center fielder on Saturday or Sunday, whichever game Kershaw was going to play, because it's a lefty on lefty and Jock Peterson is going to sit. So I knew I was going to need Trammell. I didn't want to use an ad on another hitter, hung on to him as long as I could. guys, I mean, he had runs that mattered. I won by one run. He had a walk that mattered. I won by one walk. He had a stolen base. I won by one stolen base. Unbelievable that I stuck with this guy for 7 days, chilling on my bench most times. But the fact that I needed to fill up again on Sunday, he needed to play. I didn't expect it, but he needed to play, and it worked out. So I set my alarm at 2:57 a.m. For Sunday morning. I fell asleep, Mike. I had two TVs on. The New York Rangers, the Mets was the night game. I'm out by the second inning. I'm seriously asleep by the second inning. And I was like, okay, it's bedtime. I have the alarm set. I'll find out who won the Rangers game. I'll figure out who the Mets. It's still June, whatever. I get up at 3 a.m. I make a move for a pitcher. One of them's gone before I can even get him, because Jimmy Dunlap is up at 3 a.m. also. Sure. But I get two starting pitchers right there. There are no probables available after that point. And the only TBD, the only other person that we don't know about is the Boston Red Sox starter. And I didn't know. I'm just trying to find out all morning from 7 a.m. on, when I finally woke up like a person, and still nothing. But every 10, 15 minutes after doing the dishes or folding clothing, I would go back to the phone and see if they figured out who the hell the starter was. I made sure that I didn't have to drop someone, that I just had to push the add button, just because sometimes that time there might be someone ready to jump on that pitcher. I wasn't even taking the time to pay attention to who had ads left to go and get him, who needed them. It didn't matter. I'm just going to keep checking every 10, 15 minutes. All of a sudden, some guy named Crawford pops up as a probable starter. I see that it's a Boston pitcher. I push that add button as so fucking fast as I can, and I get him on the team. Guys, he gets 5 innings. If I don't have him on the team, I lose by a third of an inning for the second time in 3 weeks. Maybe I use that ad on a reliever, to try and get the innings somehow, but we don't know if I would have picked the right reliever that would have come into the game to get me the innings that would have won that category. It worked out so well, and it was finalized by the fact that I had between J.D. Davis and Anthony Rendon on the Sunday night game to play third base. And I just needed a run. Sure, the home run would have tied it, but I was just looking at who has a better chance of having a run. And what I've known since 2019 is that if you need a good day out of J.D. Davis, you got to play him against the lefty. And Patrick Sandoval has not given up a home run all season, but don't worry about it. All he needs to do is get on base, and maybe Nito and Nimmo find a way to get him home. I don't know. It's possible. As opposed to Rendon, who's batting behind Mike Trout, and Walsh behind him. Better scenario for him to score a run, but I just stuck with J.D. Davis against the lefty. And sure enough, I stuck with him on Saturday. He got the run that I needed, and then he got it on Monday when I played him. He got it again on Sunday with the home run tying the category. I don't know if I'm talking to you guys today if I picked Rendon on Sunday night instead of J.D. Davis. That was unbelievable. I also, besides that one, sticking with my guns on who to play at first in utility on Sunday. Since 2017, guys, Carlos Santana and Joey Votto have been there for me if I needed a BB. And they did it. They got me 3 walks, exactly what I needed. And it was scary to not play Miguel Cabrera for a second day in a row where he didn't have a hit the day before. You kind of figure he's not going to go hitless for a second straight day. But I stuck with it. I just knew Santana and Votto, better chance of the BB. And they did it. And they got the runs that I needed as well. Miguel Cabrera with the offer. Very rarely does everything I do on a Sunday fall in my favor with the decisions that I made, with the work that I put in, with the strategy that I implemented. everything fell into place. And I was just blown away, man. Like, it was just one of those things where I felt like I made my luck. And there are probably some things throughout the week that were missing, and we can delve into it more if I haven't enough. But this was a real major high for me. I cannot describe it. It was just so awesome to see everything work out, because everything was so close going into Saturday. Felt like it was going even closer going into Sunday. Could have definitely gone in the other direction. It worked out so well. And I was just stunned and blown away that by the time the home run happened, I had Frank Bucco on the phone, and I'm screaming as if I just won $20,000 at the casino. And I remember what I said. I was like, I started him. I picked, like, I did it. Like, I played him. I kept on screaming, I played him, because I felt like I made the decision. I did it. Like, I remembered that it should be J.D. Davis, and that's the first home run given up by Patrick Sandoval all season. Holy shit, I played him. And I remember Frank was awesome too. He's like, you knew it. Like, it was like, you knew that.
He was your total hype man, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was such a hype man. He was great about it too. He was awesome to have on the phone. What a high.
Well, congratulations, Benji. This has been a tremendous week for you. I certainly give you plenty of kudos for a tremendous week.
Yeah, thank you.
Good job. Let's go ahead and move on to the next matchup here, boys. And now it's time to talk about my matchup with Bobby Russo. Hey, I'll take down a 10-8 win and get away from him. I don't mind taking a win. On Sunday, we were tied in runs. Bobby got that. I had a 1 strikeout lead. Bobby flipped that. Innings pitched, I was up by 17 innings, and Bobby got me by 1/3 of an inning.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Bobby was down 1 loss, and he took a loss. More about that Patrick Sandoval cat that we've been hearing so much about later on. And relief appearances, I had a 1 relief appearance lead, and he ends up tying that. Close categories, I won by 2 homers. I won by 4 walks and a save and 4 strikeouts by a pitcher. Bobby wins by 1 run. He wins by 2 triples, 1 strikeout, 1 error, 1/3 of an inning, 3 home runs given up by a pitcher. We tied in doubles and losses and relief appearances. On my bench this week, Ben, 1 for 9.
153.
111. The only thing on my bench is a run and 3 strikeouts. However, I didn't start Tyler McGill, Ross Stripling, or Justin Verlander. All 3 of them were quite good, and the innings certainly would have helped. Even one of them.
Yeah, the strike. Yeah.
Getting strikeouts, I felt pretty good about that. But the innings, and I was just waiting for him to give up another goddamn run. I threw to a 2-8-1 and lost. I was very disappointed. My moves this week. I dropped Randall Grichuk for Ross Stripling, who gave me 5 innings, a win, 2 strikeouts, nothing earned at Kansas City, and had the second start of the week in Detroit that I felt pretty good about putting in my back pocket. I picked up John Gray as well, 5 innings, a loss, 4 walks, 3 strikeouts, a 9 ERA, a 2 whip in Cleveland. Ultimately, this is the difference, right? Like, this is the difference in that ERA category. It sucks. Zach Eflin, 4 innings, a homer, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts, a 2.25, a 1.75 in Milwaukee. I dropped John Gray for Zach Thompson, who never played for me. He's actually pitching tonight. I dropped Sam Henkes for Invisible Kangaroos Forever.
Nice.
That was a good one.
I dropped Evan Phillips for Dylan Floro. An inning, a walk, nothing earned, 2 whip, and a relief appearance. Invisible Kangaroos Forever gets dropped for Sam Henkes, so right back onto the team. An inning and a third, 2 homers, 3 strikeouts, a 13.50 and a 1.50 and a relief appearance. Gross. And I had to drop Andrew Kittredge, who's having Tommy John surgery. Get well soon. We'll see you in 2020.
Yep.
I picked up Jesse Chavez, 2 innings, a win, 3 strikeouts, nothing earned, no 50, and a 1 relief appearance. Grabbed Jesus Sanchez back for Dylan Floro and dropped Juan Yepes for Trevor McGill. An inning, a win, a strikeout, nothing earned, and a relief appearance. And on Sunday, I dropped McGill and Chavez because they had already appeared and got me 2 wins. Not getting anything else out. 12 ads used, 3 hitters, 3 starters, and 6 relievers. The key players this week. My most valuable hitter is Andrew McCutchen. Oh, no, we're not going to say that. We're not going to say Andrew McCutchen.
It's going to be.
No, it's Jazz Chisholm, 261, 292, 7 runs, 4 homers, 9 RBIs, a steal, a walk. 11 strikeouts is ugly with the error. I can understand why you want to give it to McCutchen. He was very good as well. The least valuable hitter, I'm being told, is Jose Abreu for a 217 and 379 with 6 walks and 4 runs, a double, an RBI, and 5 strikeouts. Okay. Like, everybody hit. I did hit very well.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how I only hit 237. Nimmo was kind of...
Well, because you start off so cold, and I remember you complaining about it for the first couple of days, and then you stopped complaining when your team went on fire. There was nothing about like, oh, law of averages.
Law of averages finally happened. Yeah. Nope.
You.
The Cy Young this week is Justin Verlander. 7 innings, a win, 2 walks, 12 strikeouts, a 1.29 and a 1.14. Although shout out to Diego Castillo for his 2 saves.
All right.
The Cy Young is Luis. I didn't write that. Jason did. He wanted to give a shout out to. Yes.
Oh. Well, you say it all smug like, and it just sounds like it's coming from you.
The Cy Young is Luis Garcia, unfortunately. 4 1/3, a loss, 3 dingers, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts, a 10.38 and a 1.62. That was kind of gross. For Bobby on his bench this week, Benjamin, 10 for 38.
Okay. 285.
263. 4 runs, 2 doubles, which would have won the category, 2 homers, 2 RBIs, 2 walks, 10 strikeouts, and an error. He could have won relief appearances and strikeouts by a pitcher, because we're going to see that he's benching either the closer or the setup guy for Washington almost exclusively.
Really?
Yeah. It's just bizarre. Like, he's been on the bench. He didn't pitch at all this week, and yet he had 2 relief appearances. Either one of them would have won him, the relief appearances category. Just interesting. His moves this week: he adds Elvis Andrus 1 for 3 with a run, a double, and a walk. He drops Paolo Espino for Sean Murphy 0 for 3 with a run and a strikeout. He drops Nick Madrigal for Jason Alexander of Seinfeld, whose character I can't name. 4 2/3, a no decision, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts, a 1.93 and a 2.44 whip against Washington. Elvis Andrus gets dropped for John Gray, 6 innings and no decision, 3 walks, 10 strikeouts, a 1.50 and a 1 whip Sunday at the White Sox. I start him against Cleveland, and he sucks. This guy starts him against John Gray, or against the White Sox, and gets a quality start. Thanks, Bobby. That was awesome. 4 moves, 2 batters, 2 starters. His MVP this week is Christian Yelich, 423 and a 444, 6 runs, a homer, an RBI, 2 steals, a walk, and 4 strikeouts. The least valuable hitter, Mookie Betts, 077 with a 111, only 1 walk and 5 strikeouts.
Wow.
That is an ugly week. The Cy Young is Sandy Alcantara, 9 innings, 6 strikeouts, nothing earned, a 6.7 whip, no decision because the Marlins offense couldn't get anything.
Wow.
The Cy Young is Jordan Lyles. I like that guy became a pumpkin again. 5 innings, a loss, 2 homers, 3 walks, a strikeout, 10.80 ERA, 2.20 on the whip. Boys, it's my matchup. Mike, we'll start with you.
Oh, I don't know where to start here, Joe. I expected, I guess, more of a lopsided victory on your part. But yeah, you take the win, take the W. You got Mookie Betts having a down week is kind of nice for you. I don't know. I think for both of you, you take what this week was and you move on. Like, I'm sure Bobby's actually pretty happy with only taking a 10-8 loss to you. So I mean, how do you feel about it? You feel good? You feel...
I'm fine with it. I lost a few categories on Sunday because I was playing conservatively again, and when I'm playing Bobby Russo, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna try to be like everybody else who plays against Bobby Russo and just play to the middle, play to the matchup, get out of there with a W. I know I'm not gonna get blown out because Bobby doesn't often blow people out. So just be like this and you'll be fine. Ben, what do you got?
Yeah, you're right. Because you could, if it flips and he wins 10-8, you kind of think in the same direction. I don't think your mindset even changes really, because you knew going into it, I'm not going to get blown out. Let me figure out how to not get blown out. Because if you don't play conservatively, that's when shit can get blown up in your face. And then all of a sudden you lose a couple categories as a result. So I think you played beautifully to the score. I think that Bobby, if anything, he's very frustrated that he couldn't get away with relief appearances after all the work that he seemed to do. But you're right, like Rainey needed to find a way into the bullpen sometime at some point, or maybe just another ad, maybe on another day. He had ads to play with, to get that reliever in there. So good job by him considering how little work that he did. And not for nothing, he's in 7th place. I
think we're going to start calling 7th place the Bob spot, because he's like really often just sitting outside the playoffs, looking in, trying to pick somebody off in order to get in. It's how he got in 2019. It's how it's how the season ended for him in 2021. Like 2020 is a lost season. We don't even speak of what happened to him that season, but he's going to be dangerous, and he's going to continue to just play to small wins and small losses, and hope that at the end of the season it averages out to where he's in the playoffs.
And I think similarly to a Mike Haber or a Matt Losey, once school is out, life gets a little bit easier. The whole thing gets a lot less complicated for him, and just more time can be focused in on this. So I expect a turnaround. He's going through a rough stretch right now in general, but it's not so bad when you're 7 out of a playoff spot. He's in striking distance here. So he's in a good spot. Joe, you're staying pretty, and it's all good here after this matchup. I'm happy for both of you getting out of here. Neither one of you got killed.
No. And that was probably the goal going in for both of them. The next few weeks for Bobby look like this. He's going to be facing Costas this week, then gets Ari, Frank, and Brian Lebo. It's a good time to be Bobby.
Yeah. That's a nice couple of weeks for him to maybe push himself into a playoff spot.
He's lost 3 in a row now, but 12-8, 9-8, and 10-8. Those are the 3 losses he's had.
Yeah. It's not as when I say rough stretch, it's really not. It's just a little losing streak. But I mean, he could get healthy here, like you said. I mean, you could almost say that it's a pretty damn important stretch for him to come out over 500 after that. No doubt. And for me, guys, my schedule is getting interesting. I have Jason this week, and then Josh Haber, Matt Losey, and Jimmy Dunn. Mike Haber, how do you feel about those 4?
I think you got to take 2 of those for sure. And I think you can. I mean, I would also kind of Matt Losey to me is a trap game for a lot of managers coming up,
especially now.
He's got some confidence. I think people are glossing over him, like he doesn't know what he's doing, and we'll get to his matchup. But I think he managed the shit out of this week, and it wasn't just luck. So we'll see. But I do think, Joe, for you're in a good spot, and I think you could take 2 out of 3 easily. I don't know about easily, but 2 out of 3 I think is realistic. I think you and Josh will have a nice showdown. You and Jimmy will have a nice showdown.
The rematch of Josh's only playoff appearance in the bigs in 2 weeks.
Yep.
Let's move on, fellas. We're going to move on to the next matchup, and that is, in fact, Ari Nissman getting a win over Christian Wood. What planet are we living on right now? On Sunday, triples were tied. Home runs, Ari had a 1-homer lead, and they were tied in wins. Close categories, Ari wins by the 2 runs, the triple I mentioned, 2 walks by a hitter, and that win. Christian wins by 2 errors. He wins by 3 1/3 innings and 3 strikeouts. They tied in home runs and stolen bases. For Ari on his bench this week, Benjamin, here we go.
Oh, no.
It is
Oh, no.
21 for 70.
Oh.
Damn. Okay. Let's see. Ah, man, this is like impossible.
Really isn't.
Really?
Because when
Maybe
you
I'm
hear
just
it, you're
not-
going to be upset. 21
Yeah, one
for
for
70.
70.
Mhm.
$387.
It's a perfect 3 for 10.
21 for 70 is not a perfect 3 for 10. Wait, is it?
Yeah. 21 divided by 7 is 3. 70 divided by 7 is 10. 3 for 10, 300 batting average.
God damn it.
I told you it was just one of those, like, you hear those 2 numbers and you're like, oh my God.
Yeah,
But if you saw them on
it
paper,
was
you'd be like,
daunting.
oh, wait a minute, that looks different.
maybe. God
4
damn.
runs,
Yeah,
2
it's
doubles,
right here.
3
Look
homers.
at that.
Yeah, look at that. 4 runs, 2 doubles, 3 homers, 9 RBIs, 3 steals, 2 walks, 18 strikeouts, and 2 errors. The steals play, the homers play. I'm not going to get into them. This is Ari's strategy. We're just going to. Oh, and he didn't make a move this week. He hasn't made a move in the month of June.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. His last move was May 31st.
I knew he didn't make one. I didn't realize. Oh my God.
Yeah, we're 13 days in. He made a move today.
Oh.
Today. Yeah. For Christian on his bench.
Of course he did.
Yeah. For Christian on his bench, Ben, 10 for 48.
It's a little bit easier.
Mm-hmm.
For me, at least. 225?
208. 4 runs, 3 doubles, a homer, 5 RBIs, 2 steals, 4 walks, 9 strikeouts, and an error. It's the homer and the steals as well. He has 2 steals on the bench and a homer on the bench. The homer is on Sunday and a steal in 1 play. It's right here, Jeremy Pena, 2 for 3, 2 runs, a homer, 2 RBIs, and a stolen base. He makes that play in any form or fashion. He wins home runs and wins stolen bases, and that would make it 10-9 his win. Mm-hmm. His moves this week: he drops Cole Sulzer for Yuli Gurriel, traded Jared Walsh, Josh Donaldson, Ian Happ, and Logan Gilbert, all to Jason, for Nolan Arenado, who was very good this week, Josh Naylor, who was fine this week, Jace Peterson, who was not great but did hit a 3-run homer, and Kendall Graveman, who was fine. He dropped Johnny Cueto for Mike Soroka, who's on the IL. He drops Brendan Donovan for Zach Davies, 6 1/3, a walk, 7 strikeouts, 4.50 ERA, 1.17 WHIP. He drops Zach Davies for Christian Bethancourt, 1 for 4 with a double. Mike Soroka gets dropped for Bruce Zimmerman, so you wasted a move on Mike Soroka for whatever reason this week. 4 2/3, a loss, 2 homers, 2 strikeouts, 13.50, and a 2.14 WHIP for Bruce Zimmerman. He drops Christian Bethancourt for Jose Trevino, the new Yankee legendary, best player ever.
Yes.
Is 3 for 4 with a run, a homer, an RBI, and a strikeout. His key players this week: Adolis Garcia. Benjamin, you are very familiar with Mr. Adolis Garcia. This week is the week that you wanted to have him. 360 average, 448 on base, 4 runs, 2 homers, 4 RBIs, 3 steals, 4 walks, and 6 strikeouts. The least valuable hitter is Nolan Gorman, 200 average, 294 on base, 2 runs, 4 strikeouts. The Cy Young is, okay, so neither one of these guys pitched worth a shit, and we're going to talk about that more in a minute. So it's a 5.73 ERA for Christian this week. Is it horrible to give it to Corey Knebel with his 2 saves and 2 innings as the only decent option? I mean, I guess Edwin Diaz's 7 strikeouts and 2 2/3 would be good too.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, there really wasn't much going on. But the Cy Yucks are aplenty. Keegan Thompson with his 4.5 ERA and 2 losses. This is 2 starts.
Whoa.
3 2/3, 2 losses, 3 homers, 4 walks, a strikeout, 24.55, and a 3.27. Or we could talk about Shane Baz, 2 1/3, a loss, a homer, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts, 19.29, the stock market crash and a 2.57 whip. Yeah, awful.
Wow.
Guys, I just said that the.
Did you want to do Ari's key players, or did I miss some?
I think I skipped over them. Yeah, because I was trying to go quick because he didn't make any moves either. That's why it messed me up. Rhys Hoskins with the MVP this week, 360 and a 429, 5 runs, a double, 3 homers, 4 RBIs, 3 walks, and 7 strikeouts. Least valuable hitter is the guy he just dropped today, Nick, not Jake or Zeke the plumber. He had a strikeout and never got him a hit. The Cy Young is Aaron Nola, 8 innings, a win, 6 strikeouts, nothing earned in an 050. The Cy Young, Michael Haber, Garrett Cole, 2 1/3, 5 home runs. What happened?
Yeah,
I don't even know when this was.
That was hideous.
It's Minnesota.
Yeah.
I was listening to it on the radio.
That
Gross.
was hideous. Yeah.
Gross. Yeah, that certainly
They still won the
contributed.
game. They came back late and they still won.
Yeah.
Guys, there was a record set
Do the Yankees
this
lose
week in this
games?
matchup. Oh, I don't know.
Never. No.
There was a record set in this matchup in the bigs. There is a new high bar for worst ERA in the history of the league.
Wow.
It is now owned by
Wow.
Ari Nissman. He threw to an 8.15 ERA across 56 1/3 innings.
Good Lord.
That is atrocious. Ben Nissman, I'll let you begin. He survives that to get an 11-8 loss over a team that is in 6th place and 13 games over 500.
Yeah, and a team that's making ads every day, that's competing really, really hard in his rookie season. So I give Ari some credit because he's still a team that when you're playing against him, you are worried that your offense can't match up. So I think that's basically the only thing you have to really worry about with Ari. You kind of know what his strategy is going in. And if his offense prevails, then you could lose that matchup. But that's basically what's been happening here. I'm not concerned about Christian at all. I think if you're going to take a loss, okay, take it to Ari. Ari that is a guy that you kind of know that is not even going to necessarily be in the hunt for the playoffs. He's one of those guys that you kind of expect since 2019 when the strategy started to not work anymore. He's got the bottom of the pack. So if you watch, I know you kind of want to beat the bad teams, but I would rather beat up on a team that's much closer to me in the standings. So he can live with that. As far as Ari goes, good for him. It's great that he gets another win under his belt. He's actually kind of in striking distance here. If his offense can continue to do damage like this, he is going to rattle off a couple more wins. Will that get him to the playoffs? Absolutely not. Not with this strategy, but it's still nice to see him spoil a little bit, to bring Christian down to earth. And exciting matchup in general, just because it is always interesting when you see Ari taking the lead on someone that you know is working harder for 7 days. But that's the bigs. It just happens sometimes.
Yeah.
Here's what I'll say about playing Ari too is there's something intimidating about playing a guy that never makes moves. You say to yourself, I can't lose to this guy because that's embarrassing. I can't lose to a manager that's never going to make any ads, but it happens. It almost makes the matchup even scarier because you're I don't want to be that guy that lost to 0 ad guy. I don't know.
I think he beat Joe up a couple of times last year. I know that he beat Frank.
Yes, he definitely crushed Frank twice.
Twice, yeah.
Yeah. he's one of those managers that you see on the schedule and you're like, if I can beat up on this team, great. But I absolutely cannot lose to this team. And Christian just did. Now, I understand the sentiment of, well, if you're going to take a loss, let it be from somebody who's never going to knock you out of the playoffs for themselves.
Mhm.
But if Christian misses the playoffs by a game or two, he's going to look back on this particular week and maybe as the one that he let get away.
I think he's going to remember the week prior benching Bryce Harper's 2 home runs in that costing categories more. I think that was really the one that stood out to me more than anything so far this year. That's the most glaring one of his season so far.
Yeah, that is a pretty big one. Let's move on to the next matchup here, gentlemen. Let's talk about our friend of the program, Francis Bartholomew Bucco, getting a 12-9 win over James Mccloskey. On Sunday, runs were tied, and Frank took that down. Strikeouts, Mccloskey had a 3-strikeout lead, and Frank took that down. Batting average, James had a 14-tick lead, and Frank took that down. Innings pitched, Frank had a 2-out lead, and, well, James pitched a lot of guys. And saves were tied, and James got one of those back.
Wow.
Close categories this week. Frank wins by those 3 runs. He wins by the triple. He gets 2 stolen bases, the 2 strikeouts I mentioned, and the best one, 1 tick on the whip. For James, 2 RBIs, a save, and 30 ticks on the ERA. Nice ERAs from these guys this week. Good to see them bounce back and pitch well. For Frank on his bench, Ben, 3 for 9.
Nice. Thank God. 3.
Forever.
3.
Yep.
They stop making me want.
Okay, 2 runs, 2 doubles, 2 RBIs, a walk, and 2 strikeouts. He literally only had 2 plays on his bench this week. So if you want to nitpick, I'm sure we can. The Luke Voigt benching here for Matt Chapman, who went 0 for 5 with 2 strikeouts. If you want to nitpick Sunday as well, we can do that. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa with no Andres Jimenez. He talked about this on Big's Live last night, that he forgot Jimenez had a really early. His moves this week, he added Tyler Rogers. He dropped Franchi Cordero for Adam Duvall, and then dropped Adam Duvall for Anthony Santander. 1 for 2 with a run and 2 walks. Ben, take it away.
Sorry, Joe, I just have to defend Frank for a second because you brought up IKF. That was an ad that was made after the bell. It's right. Not someone that would have been. So I just wanted to back him up.
Yeah, no, you're
there,
right. There's something else. There definitely was something.
It was
else.
Marte. It was Marte. But at the same sense, Marte had been day to day forever, and it takes Buck Showalter a hell of a long time for him to post his lineup. And Frank needed to get in guys that he knew were starting. So that was really, really tough.
Sunday, the Sunday was great for him. He was 10-9 going in. Going to that night game, he's behind. He's nervous. He needs a big start out of Taiwan Walker, and he fucking did it. So sorry. Continue with the ad drops. Absolutely. It was a great Sunday. We'll talk about it more in a moment. He drops Adam Duvall for Anthony Santander. He adds Randall Grichuk, over 4 with 2 strikeouts. He adds Adrian Hauser, 6 innings, a loss, 3 homers, a walk, 5 strikeouts, a 7.50, and a 1.33. He drops Randall Grichuk for Michael Harris, 2 electric boogaloo. He went 1 for 3. He'd added Alex Lang, an inning, 2 strikeouts, 1 whip, and a relief appearance. He dropped Tyler Rogers for Tyler Wells, 6 innings, a win, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, a 4.50, and a 1.17. He drops Royce Lewis for Aaron Savale. IL swap, I suppose. Royce Lewis is out for the rest of the season, so there you go. Drops Aaron Bummer for Tim Meza, who didn't make it in. And then, yes, like we mentioned before, Zach Thompson gets dropped for, I'm going with, infamous known felon.
That's a good one.
Nice.
Yep. The MVP this week for Frank. Okay. What the hell is Josh Rojas had any business? 280, 357 on base, 6 runs, a double, a triple, a homer, and 6 RBIs. 3 walks, 6 strikeouts, 2 errors is ugly, but he lost that by 4. The least valuable hitter is Andrew Vaughn, 150 with a 280, a run, 4 RBIs is nice, 4 walks is okay, 5 strikeouts and an error. The Cy Young this week, Yu Darvish, 7 innings, a win, 6 strikeouts, nothing earned, an 0.29 whip. The Cy Yuck, man, how's Matt Foster going to come in here and like screw up his ratios and shit, man? 2 1/3, 2 losses, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, a 15.43 and a 3 whip with 4 relief appearances. This is the reason he ends up losing ERA. Like and he has to fight to get whipped because of that.
Yeah.
For Mccloskey on his bench, Benjamin, 15 for 74.
Okay. Wait. 60 would be 200. It's really good. First of all, I give him a lot of credit that he did so well on his bench.
Mm-hmm.
Is it something like 158?
203. 60 would be a 250 because it's 15 times.
Yeah. I know, but it was further than that. But okay.
Yeah,
you're right.
10 runs, 3 doubles, 2 homers, 5 RBIs, 5 walks, 23 strikeouts, and an error. The 10 runs is what he plays huge. The rest doesn't really matter. He makes 2 moves this week, drops Chas, that's plural of Cha, McCormick, for Joe Smith, an inning, a strikeout, 9 ERA, 2 whip, and a relief appearance. Drops Ryan Tepera for Alexis Diaz, 2 innings, a save, a homer, a walk, a strikeout, a 9 ERA, a 150 whip, and 2 relief appearances. The save comes on Sunday for him. His key players this week, Byron Buxton, 333 with a 417, 8 runs, a double, 5 homers, 7 RBIs, 2 walks, and 7 strikeouts. Gross. How many home runs does he has 17 home runs? Nuts.
Yep.
His least valuable hitter, we're going to talk about Justin Turner, 091 with a 231, 2 walks, and 2 strikeouts. His Cy Young is Cal Quantrill this week, wherever the hell he ended up. 13 innings, 2 wins, 3 homers, 3 walks, 7 strikeouts, a 277 and a 115. And the Cy Yuck is Joe Smith, 2 innings, home run, a walk, 2 strikeouts, 1350 and a 250. These guys pitch pretty well too. Again, a 318 and a 348. All right, let's talk about it. Frank getting a really great win here, and I said it on Biggs Live last night that one of these teams, somebody is going to get ridiculously hot in the second half, and I nominated Frank as one of them. Ben, you were there. You kind of agreed with me.
I could see it. I could see it, especially because he's so passionate about this league. He cares about it more than you know, and he's going to go through hell and high water to do what he has to get a category. And I just think that his will could dominate a lot of teams. You saw it this week. You know, he made more ads than James Mccloskey. He put in a little bit more commitment this week in general, and it paid off at the end. I give him a lot of credit going into that night game, knowing you just need one good start out of Taijuan Walker. The strikeouts that flipped, the whip by 1. He really needed Walker to get quite a few in a row to shut down, and he did it just enough. Mm-hmm. So he played it well, and honestly, both of these teams are good. I love what Mccloskey does year after year building an offense. He seems to have some of the best foresight on which hitters are going to click. It seems like he does that every single season. So you don't count him out. He's basically got a pretty solid roster here, but you just got to see when he plays up against a guy like Frank, who's going to be working his ass off. You got to work a little harder to get that extra stat. So I do give Frank a ton of credit, and I'll give James the benefit of the doubt that he's going to be back on the horse again and just knocking off a few teams with this dangerous offense.
Mccloskey is a dangerous team to see on the schedule. He is only 7 games under 500 in 8th place in a glom of guys that include Frank, who's 12 under but only 28 back, and he has so many more ties than Frank that their win-loss percentage ends up being relatively close. It's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing, these guys. Mike Haber, what did you see here, and how did you see the future for Frank and James coming?
A couple concerns that I would maybe have for Frank moving forward. I think that his bullpen is a bunch
Yeah.
of waiver wire players at this point, besides Devin Williams. And I feel like that is kind of a concern moving forward. As we've seen in this league, time in and time out, like you need to build a strong bullpen, especially the past couple of years. Like it's kind of a keystone right now. And his offense is good. I don't think it's great. I think that it'll compete, and I think that he can keep things close, but I don't think it's going to blow anyone away. So then in that case, he really does have to depend on like his starting pitching to kind of carry him through each week. And the weeks that it doesn't, the week that it falls short that's when we're going to see blowouts. So that's my concern there is like, if you think of like a 3-tiered fantasy profile of like relief pitching, starting pitching, and offense, like I feel like he's weak in relief pitching, mediocre in hitting, and then above average in starting pitching. Mccloskey on the other hand, if Freeman, Albies, and Buxton can all get hot at the right time, I can see this guy blowing somebody out on any given week. Joe, your eyes just got real big. Did something happen?
Just the thought of like a Buxton week like he just showed us. Freddie Freeman on a week that we know he can put up, where he puts up double-digit walks and and like really low single-digit strikeouts with homers and doubles and all that garbage.
Yeah.
And when you throw Ozzy Albies in there too, like it's just it is a very, very good offense.
Yeah, you throw in Justin Turner's name as well. I mean, he's a very competent hitter that even when he's cold and he's not putting up great numbers, he could have that week where he's just locked in and can carry your team in average and on base.
I think at this juncture in the schedule, this is the put up or shut up moment for Frank Bucco. His next 4 weeks are Christian Wood, Ben Nissman, Bobby Russo, Jason Ashby, and then Josh Haber. It's a gauntlet. Get out of it somewhere around 500, and you're probably still in the hunt.
Yeah.
If you could stick a whooping on somebody, great. But the next 5 weeks, I think, are put up or shut up, because you don't want to be too far back by the time week 15 comes, because that's the deadline. That's the long week. We're gonna see some interesting things at that point. But this is the point where you need to close that gap. For Mccloskey, his next few weeks here, he has got Brian Lebo this week, and Mike Sherman, Mike Haber, and Chris Levy. Ben, how do you feel about those 4 for Mccloskey going forward?
It's going to be a challenge. I think that same thing like Frank. You want to be around 500 amongst those 4 guys, and if you could do that, you're kind of in the same position, and then you're in striking distance.
Yep.
So I mean, he could even possibly go 1-3 in the next 4, as long as those 3 aren't all double ups,
right?
If they're little like 11-8s, 12-9s, things like that, then you could live with that, But if he goes 0-4, then he might be in trouble even with that offense. With his strategy, going 0-4 might be tricky, especially if 1 or 2 of them are a double up. So got to be careful here. Got to stick to what he's doing, and he should be okay. Both of these teams should be okay going into August.
It's going to be a wild run here to the finish, because I feel like for the first time in a very long time, it's going to be something like 13 teams for 6 spots.
Yeah.
There are at least 13 that are competitive. We could probably extend that into 14 or 15 if somebody gets hot at the right time. But this is a ridiculously deep season, and anybody who makes the playoffs is going to be well deserved. Let's move on to the next matchup here, gentlemen. We're going to talk about the upset surprise win of the week. I think you guys know which one I'm talking about here. We're going to talk about Mccloskey taking down a 14-5 win over Jason Ashby. Shout out to Jason, who is traveling right now back from LA to Denver. He followed the Mets over a road trip out on the West Coast.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean that's got to be a ton of fun. Again, 14-5. The only thing that flipped on Sunday, Jason was ahead by 2 strikeouts, and Matt ended up getting the tie there. Close categories, Jason wins by 2 saves. Matt wins by 3 homers, 3 home runs given up by a pitch. No, 1 given up by a pitcher. Yeah. They tied in triples and strikeouts. For Matt on the bench, Benjamin, 9 for 54.
Okay. Not bad. Not bad. So, is it 200?
It's a perfect 1 for 6, 167.
167.
4 runs, 2 doubles, 3 homers, 5 RBIs, 3 walks, 19 strikeouts, and 2 errors. And guess what? Other than the 19 strikeouts, it doesn't play. It just doesn't play. He didn't make a move this week. His MVP this week, Mike Haber, is Brandon Drury.
Oh, Drury?
Brandon Drury.
Drury.
Ben? Got it. 429 with a 478, 6 runs, a double, 2 homers, 3 RBIs, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, and 2 errors. Damn. The least valuable hitter is the freight train, David Peralta, 167 on base and average with an RBI and 2 strikeouts. The Cy Young is literally every pitcher on his team not named Keegan Aiken. And the Cy Young is everybody who's on the team named Keegan Aiken. 2 1/3, 3 home runs, 1157, and a 129 whip in a relief appearance.
The one asshole.
Yep, the one asshole. He really is. And it was 1 appearance in Kansas City on Sunday. He gave up 3 earned.
What was he chasing?
Why is that? He wasn't chasing anything. He was chasing a perfect fucking week. He hadn't given up an earned run.
So why was
he Sunday?
Through 36, I think it was, right?
Oh, okay. I think he gave one up by Saturday.
Yeah, I think so too. That one, from I don't know, Murphy or like only 4 dudes gave up runs. This is sick. This is sick.
Great.
Well done. Like it is legendary.
This is not a record. This has got to be a record?
So
is it a record?
Jason Ashby actually set the record earlier this season.
Right.
With an 0.99. Mccloskey takes it away by 1 tick against Jason.
Wow.
Mccloskey stamped his name into the record books with an ERA sub 1. The 0.79 whip is the best in the league this week.
This year.
But tied, no, just for this week, but tied with Ari. Ari also had an 0.79 whip.
Wow.
Damn.
For Jason on this particular week, Ben, on the bench, he goes 12 for 35.
338?
343? You're in the neighborhood?
I was really going to say 42. It still would have been wrong, but whatever.
3 runs, 2 doubles, a triple, a homer, 3 RBIs, 5 walks, and 11 strikeouts. The triple, Jason had a bad week, and the triple comes from Ian Happ on the bench on Sunday. He went 3 for 3, 2 runs, a triple, a homer, an RBI, and a walk. Like that triple alone would have won that category, and that doesn't make it so bad.
Yeah.
His moves this week, he dropped Braxton Garrett for Christian Walker, 0 for 2. Dropped Christian Walker for David Peterson, who did not play. He traded away Nolan Arenado, Josh Naylor, Jace Peterson, and Kendall Graveman for Jared Walsh, Josh Donaldson, Ian Happ, and Logan Gilbert. He dropped Dylan Floro for Chris Bubich, 4 1/3, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, an 8.31 and a 1.85. He dropped Kyle Hendricks for Rangers Suarez, 4 1/3, a loss, 4 walks, 2 strikeouts, a 4.15 and a 1.85. He dropped David Peterson for Jose Miranda, 1 for 4 with a run. He dropped Jose Miranda for Nick Martinez, 5 2/3, 3 walks, 9 strikeouts, a 1.59 and a 1.41 whip. He dropped Alex Faedo for Marco Gonzalez, 4 1/3, a homer, 6 walks, 4 strikeouts, a 4.15 and a 1.85. He dropped Marco Gonzalez for Ha-Seong Kim, 0 for 5 with a steal, a walk, and 3 strikeouts. And then on Sunday, he waved the white flag. He dropped Rich Hill for Zach Thompson, who started tonight. He dropped Ha-Seong Kim for Chris Flexen, who's starting tonight. And he dropped Patrick Wisdom for Bryson Stott, who went 1 for 3 with a walk. His MVP this week is Kyle Schwarber, 292 with a 370, 5 runs, 2 doubles, 2 homers, 7 RBIs, a steal, 3 walks, and 7 strikeouts. Shout out to Luis Robert as well with his 4 stolen bases. That didn't even. Oh yeah, that set the most steals this season for 1 week, 10 for Jason. The least valuable hitter is, why in the hell is he giving this much playing time?
Oh, there he is.
To Eugenio Suarez. That's the least valuable hitter. And why is he giving him this kind of time? 091 with a 286 on base, 3 walks, and 7 strikeouts. And the Cy Young is Hunter Green, 12 innings, a win, 2 walks, 15 strikeouts, an 075 and an 042. The Cy Young is Yusei Kikuchi, 2/3 of an inning, 4 walks, 2 strikeouts, a 40-50, and a 9. Absolutely horrendous. Guys, it was just a bad week for Jason this week. It just pains me to see this guy going through this kind of a slump. And for Matt Losi, I mean, it was almost a perfect week. And did we just see a perfect storm happen here? Mike Haber, I'm going to start with you because you mentioned Matt Losi earlier, and I'm going to give you the floor to talk about what you've seen from him this season.
Yeah, this league is tough, and I think we forget that as people that have been in it and have kind of mastered and honed our craft at like improving every year. This league is tough, and we have to remember that like there is a learning curve. Like it took Matt a couple of weeks to realize like, hey, I need to put a little more emphasis on relief pitching, or hey, I need to, find a balance between like just throwing a million innings every week, or deciding who to bench and who not to bench, and to actually like bench some of your starters every once in a while. And I watched this week as he was pitching what was as close to a perfect week as possible, and I actually texted Jason and I said, he's given up no runs, and he's got Michael Wacha on the mound tonight. I wonder if he actually starts him, because why would he? He's so far ahead in wins. His ERA is perfect. He's winning in home runs. And I didn't say a word to Matt, and he benched Wacha, and Wacha had an awful game. And I actually said something to him the next day. I was like, it was impressive to see that you didn't just play your starter because he's on your team. Like you actually went in, put in the work, managed, looked at the matchup and played that, rather than like, forget my matchup, I'm just going to play all these players. And I think, he started off the season very much in that mindset, and now he's transitioning into like an actual player in this league, not a punching bag, but a player that you have to compete with and that can spoil from here on out. And I could see him spoiling a couple more seasons. For Jason, like I feel for him too. This is almost like one of those weeks, well, we talked about earlier with Ari, like Jason felt like he had to win this, and he felt like he probably had to win big to feel good about moving forward or moving up in the standings. And yeah, taking a loss like this, but what could he have done is the big question. Like, you can't compete pitching wise. You couldn't.
He got everything he possibly could on the pitching side.
Yeah.
Innings, saves, and strikeouts. Like, it's all he could do at that point.
Yeah.
And the hitting was not much better. He got steals and walks. Play the guy you traded for? Like, is that the nitpick for the week? He hitting 215 with a 293 is ugly, but if he plays Ian Happ, he gets the triple. That's the only thing you can nitpick at from this. Right, Ben?
Right.
Yeah, I'm also kind of curious because he shrunk this lead going into Sunday, did Jason. At some point, I feel like I remember it being something like 13-7, to make it kind of reasonable. And I'm sure strikeouts for a batter was going one way or the other. That one ends up getting tied somehow in this matchup.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, perfect storm where, it wasn't just the pitching that was beyond incredible, but Matt batted 292 and he had a 355 on base percentage. That's probably beating most teams. 9 home runs is good enough. 17 doubles. Most teams are not getting close to 15 doubles in a week. You generally see something like 12 to 13, and that being a good enough number. 17 is excellent. 33 RBIs, pretty tough to beat. 32 runs, pretty tough to beat. So. And another thing is that Jason didn't defend well. 7 errors, that's not going to cut it. So, just in general, it was just one team was so good on all aspects of the sport, and the other one was so poor, and it wasn't anything really that Jason was doing. It was bad luck in the time to play Matt Losey. This was the worst week to play Matt Losey, especially if you were going to have a bad week yourself. If you were going to bat a little decently, not a 215, maybe you could compete in some of these other categories as well. Not with that, and unfortunately, a 4.35 ERA, it's not good enough, So it was just a tough week for Jason, but I'm not counting him out yet. There's still time. He's too good of a manager, and there's 12 weeks left.
I do just want to point something out here. Matt Losey threw 64 1/3 innings. That's 1 1/3 more than 7 baseball games. Imagine for a moment your baseball team is playing 7 games in a week, and they give up 1 run every single day.
Yeah.
That's what he did this week.
Yeah.
That's what he did. And credit to him. Like, that absolutely opened, I think, everybody's eyes to what this dude's capable of.
Yeah. 100%. And if you hadn't been paying attention, he's really dominated on Sundays, these last 3 Sundays. He beat me up on the final Sunday. Sure, I got the win, but the guy had 3 home runs to my 2. He's able to match me up in like 4 stats on Sunday. He did the same thing to Bobby. I remember he was like, what the hell? I'm like, yeah, that guy beat me up on Sunday too. And now again, so 3 Sundays in a row. And you're right.
He salvaged a blowout. He flipped what was a loss into a small win, and now he's blown somebody out. That is progression in front of us.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very quickly. He has got Josh Haber this week, Jimmy Dunlap next week, me the week after, and Costas after that.
Yikes.
Spoiler.
It's a gauntlet. Yeah. He's going to beat one of the 4 of us. I'll say it now. He's going to beat one of the 4 of us.
I don't know.
Maybe even playing it tight is good enough.
Yeah, playing it tight is good enough at this point to be a spoiler. But it's going to be hard to match or come close to these numbers. Law of averages say some of these guys have to cool down, especially on the pitching side. But that being said, I do give him a ton of credit. If that Waka was an intentional sitting, and I've seen him jumble the lineup around, so I've loved what I've seen out of that. I've seen a lot more activity and a lot more work in the last couple of weeks. It's nice to see. So obviously, everyone, if they take it seriously, they're naturally going to improve. Practice makes perfect, or close to it. And this guy is riding a hot wave right now. So good for him. And let's see if it continues, because he still has a little bit to prove here.
No doubt.
I want to say one more thing about the Waka benching too, is that his previous start before that, he threw that complete game shutout against the Angels.
Mm-hmm.
So for Matt to go in and be like, yeah, you know what, that was awesome, but he can't replicate that. There's going to be some regression here. He's playing the Mariners. Like, maybe I don't love it. And also he's a huge Boston Red Sox fan, Matt. So like the fact that he had the foresight to be like, yeah,
I'm benching my guy tonight. I don't think my team is going to do well tonight. That speaks volumes.
Yeah, especially after he pitches, like you said, Mike. Most managers in our league now I understand the situation is different when your ERA is looking as pretty as his was, but most of us, after we see a guy pitch a great game like that, are going to go to him again that following start. And he decided that was as hot as he could get. Let me play by the numbers. He did a great job with that, and Jason, listen, I give him credit the fact that he was able to get the stats that he was able to get on the pitching side, acknowledging he's got no other shot and delegating his ads accordingly. Good for him. This is a smart manager, proved it by doing what he had to at this point. So, if it's somebody else, maybe they don't win strikeouts. So, good for him.
And if one of those teams that gets hot in the second half is Jason and he goes on a run and somehow sneaks in by a game or two, this is one of those losses that you look at and go, well, that sucked, but it could have been worse.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what we get going forward. It is time, Mike Haber, to talk about your matchup. And you get a little bit healthy here with a 12-7 win for Mike Sherman. Boy, it is good to see him on the schedule when you've got some ailing team. On Sunday, walks were tied, and Mike flipped that. And walks were tied,
Which
and
Mike
flipped that. Exactly. That's the whole point. Walks were tied, and Mike took it, and walks were tied, and Mike took it. Close categories this week. Mike Haber wins by two triples, 3 walks by the batter, which he won on Sunday, and 3 strikeouts by a pitcher and 2 relief appearances. Sherman wins by 4 walks, which he won on Saturday. You guys tied in wins and losses. You went 3-4 in a 7-day week. Well done.
I'll take it.
On Mike's bench this week, Benjamin, it is 1 for 6.
I feel like we've done this before, and I just never. 186?
167 with 2 strikeouts. Congratulations, Mike. That was a fantastic week.
Thank you.
Your moves this week. You dropped Ryan Feltner for Griffin Jacks. You dropped Schlong-Slope. Oh, Schlong-Slope. I like it. Penis Mountain.
Yeah.
What?
Very
Over
nice.
my head.
Yep. He dropped him for Jose Trevino, who went 1 for 4 with an RBI and a walk. He dropped Trevino the next day for Adam Duvall, 2 for 4, 2 runs, a homer, 2 RBIs, and a strikeout. He drops Luis Guillorme for Christian Walker, 0 for 2 with a walk and a strikeout, and then left the game after taking one to the noggin.
Yep.
He dropped Christian Walker for Johnny Cueto with a relief appearance on the bench. Now, that stinks, but he wasn't supposed to pitch that day. Michael Kopech got hurt, and he just had to come in. So
I picked him up for the 2-star this week, and he lost that because he threw 5 relief innings yesterday.
Right. You dropped Adam Duvall at the end of the week for Jake Cheeseburger, 1 for 5 with an RBI, 2 strikeouts, and an error. 6 moves, 4 hitters, a starter, and a reliever. Key players this week is this guy named Mike Trout. He's pretty good at baseball. 583 average, 615 on base, 4 runs, 2 doubles, 3 homers, 6 RBIs, a walk, and 4 strikeouts. Matt Olson or Julio Rodriguez. We're going to go we're going to go Matt Olson. 217 with a 280. 3 runs, a double, a homer, 3 RBIs, 2 walks, and 8 strikeouts. Julio Rodriguez had 10 strikeouts, but ultimately your team was pretty strong offensively this week. The Cy Young, Zach Wheeler, 6 innings, a win, 8 strikeouts, nothing earned, and 0-3-3. The Cy Young, Chris Bassett, 3 1/3, a loss, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, a 16-20, and a 270. For Mike Sherman on the bench, Ben, 8 for 43.
Damn you, Michael Sherman. 8 for 43. So 8 times 5 is 40. So 200. I'll go with. I mean, actually, it's a pretty darn good job out of him.
It is.
173.
186.
Nice.
6 runs would have tied the category, but he would have had to be perfect. 2 doubles, a homer, 4 RBIs, 3 walks, and 9 strikeouts. Nothing else played. He only added Adam Ottavino this week, 1 move, and Adam Ottavino didn't get into the game. His MVP this week is Randy Arozarena, 318 with a 400, 5 runs, 2 doubles, a homer, 7 RBIs, 2 steals, a walk, and 3 strikeouts. The least valuable hitter is Francisco Lindor, 120 with a 185, a run, a steal, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts, and an error. The Cy Young goes to Shohei Ohtani, 7 innings and a win, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, a 129 and an 086. And the Cy Yuck Well, he threw pretty well this week. Aaron Loop, an inning and a third, a 6.75 and a 150.
Or Bumgarner, maybe.
Maybe Bumgarner. 10
over
innings, 2
yeah.
losses, a 450 and a 180. That stinks.
Yeah, it's not great for a show. Yeah, no.
Mike, the floor is yours, sir. Your matchup.
Yeah, this was an interesting week because there was a time where I was afraid that it was going to be a lot closer than it was. I felt pretty good about. I mean, this is the offense that I paid in for in the draft, and this is the offense I traded for, and this is the offense that I think that this is the first week that everyone just kind of clicked, and this is with Matt Olson and Julio Rodriguez having down weeks. So like, Julio is usually good for 3 to 4. I don't know, maybe 2 to 3 steals every 5-6 days. Like he steals bases regularly. So for me to lose that category, even with Chris Morel on my team, the two of them have been stealing bases at a ridiculous pace. Like, and I lost that this week. I was kind of worried, and walks were really close going into Sunday. But I do have to say, like, it was nice to claim some of these offensive categories early in the week so that I can really focus on the pitching, which I feel like I handled pretty well. I knew that Mike Sherman was going to beat me in ERA. So at that point, I think, Joe, you talked about it earlier, the idea of like a little bit of restraint and taking the W as opposed to like, pushing for the bigger win. And at this point in the season, I need every single category I can get. That being said, I've hurt myself in the past pushing for innings pitched and pushing for that extra win. And then on Sunday, I take the loss and I give up home runs and my ERA balloons and I don't even get the innings. And so I reached a point where I was like, yeah, I could chase innings. I think I was five innings back going into Sunday, and we each had a starter. And I decided to bench Edward Cabrera on Sunday because we were tied in wins and losses. I benched Cabrera, and I'm actually really proud of that move because he, for the first time in the big leagues, he actually got smoked, and he seemed very hittable. And we were tied in walks by a pitcher. Julio Urias pitched for Sherman, gave up 0 walks. And I was like, are you kidding me? Through 6 innings, 10 strikeouts, no walks.
He's pretty good. He's a pretty good pitcher.
And then I think one of his relievers came in and gave up a walk or something. And I was like celebrating because I had no relievers left. I claimed that one. If I played Edward Cabrera, I would have lost walks.
You lose that, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
and you certainly wouldn't have grabbed those innings,
Yeah, yeah, and I would have gotten the innings. Yeah, and I would have taken the extra loss from Cabrera.
And then you would have lost that category too.
Yeah, so I feel good about showing a little restraint, even though I'm clamoring for every category. I played it right on Sunday.
Yeah.
Ben, what did you see this week out of our esteemed colleague here?
I just saw him, like Mike broke down, that he had a lead on enough hitting categories that he did exactly what he did in the 2019 semifinal against Jason Ashby. At a certain point, he just knew pitching, and he didn't stop with that strategy. And I loved seeing it, and I liked the fact that he did show restraint here. Many managers do go for those innings, and it ends up blowing up in their face. He ends up getting strikeouts by a pitcher by 3, even with that benching. That was well done. 20 relief appearances is hard to compete with. Mike Haber, with his ads, got to 22 relief appearances, winning that category by 2. I mean, this is just an example of Mike Haber acknowledging what his manager is, what style that manager plays, and playing around it, and acknowledging that there are some categories, in this case ERA, but in other cases it might be something like home runs or RBIs or strikeouts by a batter, that he's aware early, forget it. I'm done with that category. I'm not going to win it, and I'm not going to chase it. Let me go in another direction. Mike Haber is one of the best at this, and he beat up on a manager he was supposed to, but he didn't fail here. He did as good as he can, almost a double up. You can't complain about it, especially when Mike Sherman's moves, basically his benchings, they didn't play into the score. So Mike Haber, in spite of that, still won 12-7. Good job. Good job by Sherman as well. Because actually having the 2.5 ERA here over 60 is pretty damn tough. And the guy made ad all week, and he still put up seven categories against Mike Haber. Well done from him sticking around here, although now he falls to last place. Mike Haber did exactly what he needs to, and he's in striking distance. Look out, because over the next 4 or 5 weeks, if Mike Haber goes on a streak, he's going to put intimidation into everybody's eyes.
No doubt. That schedule upcoming for you, Mike, is Jimmy Dunlap this week, Chris Levy next week, James Mccloskey after that, and Christian Wood. It's a very, very strong schedule for you. All people that you will need to jump if you're going to get to the promised land. And I think I think getting 3 out of those 4 would be nice for you. Getting a split, being around 500 should be the goal. And if you can escape just under 500, I think you'll be fine. But it's going to start being that point in time where Mike Haber needs to put his pedal to the metal and get some big wins here. I'm excited to see what comes from this next 4 weeks, because again, this much like I said with Frank Bucco, might be a proving ground for Mike Haber.
Do we lose Joe?
We made it. Oh, there it is.
No, I'm still here, guys. Still here.
You're back.
You cut out on us. But this is the second time, though, that Mike Haber and I are like, is it gone? Are we frozen? Are we frozen, or is it him?
What's lucky is that it's recording on my computer, so if it cuts out, I'm still going and talking. It's just you guys.
True.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes I try to fake Ben out. When you freeze, I freeze also.
I got to look out for that.
Awesome. Reno does have a very large event going on right now, so the Wi-Fi and the
bandwidth
is getting killed right now. So in any event, I do want to give Mike Haber credit here. Where the hell do you get off not drafting a closer and you have 7 fucking saves this week? What on earth is that? What is that?
Thank you.
Who on earth do you have that's closing games? Matt Strom? Gregory
Soto
is the guy. Gregory Soto is the guy you drafted. Oh, you went on the Ryan. You did win the Ryan Helsley sweepstakes. That's probably going to be a really great bullpen piece. And Jason Black Adam, there he is. Awesome.
Yeah, and Joan Duran didn't even get me a save this week, and he's capable. So
wow,
amazing, guys. It's that time of the week we name our matchup of the week. Ben, I'm going to start with you. Which matchup intrigued you the most this week?
Wow. Great question. Couple of options here. I'm going to go with the one where I saw the most head-to-head work, and that was Jimmy Dunlap versus Josh Haber. The fact that this lead could have been stretched a lot more in Jimmy's favor, and Josh was able to shrink it on Sunday and get some very important categories. It's nice seeing 2 really, really good managers play fantasy chess. We've seen it a lot, but I'd say the best example of that was this week with these 2 managers.
All right, Mike Haber, which one did you enjoy looking at?
Usually we go with a close matchup for matchup of the week. I gotta do Ben and Costas here. This was a rematch of the finals. And everything was so close, 14-4. Everything was so close. So I was following this one really closely on Sunday.
Yeah, I was doing the same thing. I was watching this matchup, and it was my feature matchup this week because it was the 21 championship, and to see Ben get a 4th consecutive win over Costas, beautiful, great work, my friend.
Yep.
Now let's talk about those managers of the week. I know that Jason sent his in. I can't find it right now. If you guys could dig through text messages and find it, I'd certainly appreciate that. I will start with Ben Nissman here. Who is your number 3 manager of the week?
Well, there were some options here. I'm going to go with Frank, actually. he played pretty well to the score here and set himself up really, really well for that final matchup on the Sunday night game to have Taijuan Walker do what he did, get the strikeouts he needed, and whip, flips 2 categories on the night game to turn a 10-9 deficit into a 12-9 win. That's a great job out of him. A very important win for Frank Bucco. He's number 3 for me this week.
All right, Frank Bucco taking down the first point of the week this week. Mike Haber, who is your number 3?
Mike and Joe, before you guys give your picks, I just want to remind you that the Randall Grichuk was my final ad, and even if JD Davis doesn't hit that home run, the Randall Grichuk 0 for 3 with an RBI did take RBIs by 1 with my final ads. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Very well. I can see him.
That was a pitch if I ever heard one.
It absolutely is. It's a pitch for number 1 of the week. Mike, I will once again go to you for your number 3 manager of the week.
God, Ben. Let's go. Oh man, I'm torn. You know what? Let's go Jimmy Dunlap. Taking a 12-8 win over Josh. Close matchup, but like you said, Ben, like 2 managers playing their ass off and like using every ad that they can and just trying to find every angle. So like I think Jimmy deserves a ton of credit for getting this win. So he's my number 3.
He is also my number 3. I thought it was a very good matchup between the 2 of them and a fun one to watch because we're looking at 2 guys inside of the playoff picture right now. And to see it be a back and forth matchup the way it was, Jimmy played it incredibly well. And being in Gettysburg for the weekend and still getting a 12-8 win, hats off to you, sir. Congratulations. Number 2 for you, Ben Nissman.
I'm going to go with Matt Losey here. I mean, when you do what you did on the pitching side and even on the hitting side against an incredible manager like Jason Ashby, there's something to be said for that. And it definitely turns my head when I know now that he's watching the score throughout the week and paying attention to how to play his roster in accordance to the score and accordance to how his team has been doing over the first 5, 6, 7 days, whatever. So he definitely deserves it. And he's my number 2. I think it's the first time that I put him on this list, but it's well earned.
It is the first time he hits this board, and I will he is in fact the first time he's hit the board. I'm going to go ahead and take him as well as my number 2. Dude, you don't throw 36 innings of shutout baseball. That's 3 baseball games consecutively and go into the weekend without giving up a run. Gross. And you deserve all the credit in the world. There's just one manager that I have over him. We'll get to that in a moment. Mike Haber, we're talking up your coworker. Who's your number 2?
Well, I had to decide between the pitch that we just got and my coworker, but I think I'll agree with you guys and go with Matt Losey for number 2.
All right, Matt Losey clearing out the number 2s this week, getting 6 full points. That'll just middle of the rankings. All right, it's that time. Number 1, Benjamin Nissman.
It's the guy that had the best win of the week, Christopher Levy, against a great manager like Brian Lebo. Brian Lebo only gets better as he continues to be in this league since 2020. I mean, after he went on that crazy run in 2021 that I fortunately stopped, but if I didn't, dude was potentially going on an even crazier run that went even further into the season. So for Chris Levy to continue this ride that he's on, which is not easy. It's not easy to just continue it. You know, it's one thing to get it started. It's one thing to be on top. It's another thing to stay on top. Do it against an opponent like Brian Lebo. Extremely impressive. He really, really outplayed Brian Lebo. And that's what I noticed. And that's why he's my number 1 today.
Mike Haber, who is your number 1 this week?
Well, I do want to give a shout out to Chris Levy because he did have a huge week. The reason why he's not on my list is because I feel like he kind of ran away with it early and didn't have to make some crazy tough decisions towards the end. And usually I give my managers of the week to like, this guy had an awesome Sunday, or this guy did this on Saturday. And like, Chris deserves a ton of credit, but I just feel like his players played for him this week and killed it. One of my co-hosts here, though, Ben Nissman, played the shit out of this week. So I have to give it to Ben because like he said earlier, every single decision he made on Sunday worked. And when you look at the final numbers, I said this to you guys off air, when you look at the numbers of what happened on Sunday, it doesn't look good. Like Ben didn't have hits. He didn't really do much offensively. He didn't do much pitching wise, but he did exactly what he needed to do. And that was the master plan. Like Ben he didn't need like 10 hits. 4 hits is good.
No, it could be a 7 ER. It could be a 6 or 7 ERA as long as I don't home run 5 times and lose 4 games. I kind of had wiggle room.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, no, so all the credit to you, Ben.
Thanks.
And now it's my number 1. And man, Chris Levy was fantastic this week. You don't beat Brian Lebo with that big a beating without having a fantastic week. But it's not him. Frank Bucco, fantastic win over James Mccloskey. A get-right win that puts him back in the hunt for a playoff spot. But it's not him. Mike Haber, fantastic get-right win. Get right back into the hunt. But it's not him. And still the reigning, defending, undisputed world heavyweight champion. He proved to you why he's a 3-time champion. He proved to you why he's won 2 of the last 3 championships. The last 2 full seasons is Ben Nissman with the number 1 manager of the week. Benji, hats off to you. Well done.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it a lot. And it was one of the ones that felt earned. Why? Because the final score is no indication of how challenging this was. It's not like it was a runaway. It's not like I didn't have to put the effort in. This opponent made me work. He made me think. And I just had to play a little bit ahead of him, be patient, have enough ads left on Sunday, and it all worked out. But while we're giving all this credit, I don't want it to be forgotten that Costas is amazing. He is a great manager. And part of the reason why I'm so pumped today, why you guys have me on top, is because I wasn't playing just anyone. I was playing a former finalist, a very competent, very skilled manager, and a lot of credit to him. I hope he knows that I'm so pumped because of the man that I had to play for 7 days.
He didn't go to the finals last year by being just a rollover and a pushover. No, he has had a fantastic 2 seasons now, 2 full seasons with us at this point. The leaderboard looks like this, gentlemen. Christian fallen down the rankings and hasn't picked up a point in a few weeks now, but he's still way out in front because he did so well in the first few weeks. His cousin is chasing him, Chris Levy, and tied with him is our esteemed commissioner, Ben Nissman, with 23 points. Josh with 22, myself with 18. Jason has 15, despite falling and tumbling quite a bit lately. Costas with 11, and then Mike Haber with 8. Brian Lebo, Bobby, Frank, and Matt Losi getting on the board with 6. The only person yet to see the board this season, Ari Nissman. Ari Nissman, not on the board yet. The tracker looks like this, gentlemen. Chris Levy continues his streak. He has 2 consecutive weeks as the number 1 team. Ben, you're into second. Jimmy and myself. The big drop this week comes from Brian Lebo loses.
Lebo, yeah, thanks.
Yeah, a big loss here. He goes from 15 back to 26 back. Big loss there. The big jumper this week, Bobby Russo loses and jumps 2 spots. Mccloskey wins and jumps 2 spots. Mike Haber jumped a spot. Matt Losi jumped a spot. The most and worst per week, we had one record this week. The most home runs other than week 1 was hit by Mike Haber at 15 this week.
Wow.
Woo!
Wow.
We had 2 managers with 8 wins, which is the most this season, and 2 managers with 8 losses this week as well, which tied Frank for the most this season. And finally, of course, we talked about the 098 ERA that Matt Losey put together. The whip 079 is not the record because I set it at 078 earlier this year.
Oh, wow, right.
Nice.
Yes, sir. The worst and fewest this week and for the season is right here. I don't think we had any records. Oh, no, we did. Yes, the final 3. Ari taking ERA with an 8.15. Ari's whip is a 1.76. That's the most we've seen this season. And 4 relief appearances is the fewest we've seen this season.
Damn.
Guys, that's been week 9. We are 1 week away from being halfway home. Can you believe that it's already halfway home? I can't believe this. It's been an unbelievable season, and we are ramping up for a 13-man race to the finish, it looks like. At least 13, and we can certainly see one of the other 3 get into this thing as it finishes out.
Yeah, the most glaring thing that I've noticed is that the 6th seed is over 500, and the 7th seed just out is under 500. I find that extremely unusual, but that's how it goes sometimes. And you're right, Joe. This season is flying by. Unfortunately, it feels like we had to wait so long for it with the lockout, and of course the pandemic and what we had to deal with in 2020. It just feels like we can't just get it now. It's gone in a flash, and that's what it's going to be like, so let's enjoy it while we have it. It's been a fantastic season. Thank you so much for having us on today.
Ben, thank you so much for being here, man. Big win for you, number 1 manager of the week for the other 2 hosts on the show, and getting right and getting healthy and putting yourself in second place. Thanks for being here, man.
Yeah, of course, man. And it's great. It's a comfortable spot to be in. Know that I'm almost 40 over 500, but I told Chris Levy this multiple times. You cannot take your foot off the pedal. You got to just keep going. You cannot assume that you have breathing room and wiggle room. You have the affordability to take risks and make mistakes, but you can't take your foot off the pedal. You got to still concentrate and play every day. I'm not taking any opponent, any day for granted. Every single day is critical. So I'm still focused here. And again, Joe, thank you for getting us going here today. It was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Mike Haber, thank you so much for being here. Looks like you're starting to get right, and I'm very concerned about the run you're going to make now that school is out.
Yes. Hey, those 3 a.m. wake ups are real, so I can start making them again. And I do want to say that I find the standings very interesting too, in that Team 7 and Team 13, which is myself, are only separated by 7 games. So it's gonna be something. The second half of the season, I'm really looking forward to it. And thanks for having me, Joe. As usual.
Absolutely, my friend. Now, you guys that are all 7th and below, again, 22.5 back is Bobby in 7th place. 29.5 is Mike Haber at 13th overall. Anybody can make a run. We've got 12 weeks left. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be another legendary run to the finish in the bigs. That's what we do. And I thank you guys all for watching. If you're new to us and you're watching us on YouTube, go ahead and click that subscribe button, ring that bell so that you know when we go live and when we upload new content. Follow us on all of the streaming platforms that exist for our audio podcasts: Stitcher, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts, and so many more. I think we're on about 15 of them. For those of you that found us through TikTok, I think you've got to start loving Frank, because this is going to be terrific once I get this next piece from him up on the TikTok. Follow us there for outtakes, hot takes, and Frank takes. And yeah, you heard it. That's what we're going with now. We do the same thing on Instagram. Thank you guys all so much for being here. It would not be this show without the members of the Bigs, my co-hosts, and now our very quickly growing fan base. Shout out to the Doubleday Pro League. We're looking forward to what happens here with a crossover very soon. Until next time, guys, it has been real. It has been fun. And it's always real fun in the bigs. We'll see you next time.